You've heard my story about how I started a preschool, but how would you like to hear the stories of other amazing women just like yourself who also created successful preschools? Real moms, real preschools. Join us every Thursday as we share their stories. And now, here is the story of Bethany Johnson, who left her job in the district and now makes more money teaching online and local preschool than she did as a certified teacher. Bethany Johnson, welcome to the Preschool All Stars podcast. How are you?
Thank you. I'm awesome. I'm really excited to be here.
So excited to share your story with the world. Everybody needs to know what happened in March with you and what's happened since then. You have just taken off. Let's go back a bit. Tell us, what was your life like before you started your preschool?
Before I started my preschool, I was teaching first grade in Las Vegas in the school district. I'd been teaching for about 4 years. And I was really loving the kids, but really not having a good time with the job. I was just stressed out, and I was not liking the system. I was not liking being part of the system that I felt I wasn't able to give the kids what I thought they needed. I was coming home every day stressed out and cranky and ornery and kind of upset because I just moved across the country to become a teacher, and I really wanted to do that. And it was not, I didn't know if I was going to be able to do that for 30 years. And we were talking about having kids. My husband was really wanting to have kids, and I also wanted to have kids, but not where I was in life. I was coming home stressed and I was upset. I was sleepwalking every night because I was so stressed out. And I just knew that I wasn't going to be able to give my kids what they needed if I was working that job. And I was really stressed out about the thought of, I didn't want to put them in daycare, especially when they were little. But I also needed to make money. I'm the kind of person who needs to make my own money. And so I was really stressed out at the thought of, if I have kids, am I going to be able to put them in daycare? Am I going to be able to stay home? And that was just it was this big thing in my head all the time that was keeping me from even having kids.
So what grade were you teaching?
I taught second grade the first 2 years, and then first grade the last 2 years.
Gotcha.
And I loved that grade. I mean, I love those kids, but it was hard. It was hard with that many, and with I wasn't given the resources I needed. And everything about it was just not ideal for me.
Totally. And so were you in education, obviously, because you love teaching, but were you also needing that extra income? You needed the 2 incomes in your family?
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Yeah. Yeah. And I had a lot of experience working with kids beforehand. I had a degree in dance, and I taught dance for 10 years before that. And I did nannying and overseas orphanage work. And ever since I was little, I've always worked with kids in some way. And so teaching was when I moved out here to teach, that was I'm going to have retirement, and I'm going to have a stable income, and I'm going to have health insurance and all these things that I was like, I want this stability in my life. And then once I started, I was like, I don't know if it's worth it for me to live my life in this, this stressed out for a paycheck. So it was hard.
Totally. So how did you envision when you would have children? What did that life look like? Even if you were a teacher, you were worried they'd be in daycare, but if they weren't going to go in daycare, what were you hoping? In an ideal scenario, when we brought children into the world, I would be doing what? What would that have looked like?
I mean, I've kind of struggled with this because my mom was a stay-at-home mom. There's 6 kids in my family, and she loved being a stay-at-home mom. And I kind of struggled between, do I want to be a stay-at-home mom because I know that I want to be there with my kids, especially when they're young. I want to hold that baby all the time. But I also was struggling with, I also need more of an identity than just being a stay-at-home mom. And that really kind of scared me, for myself, because I'm very independent and I'm very, I need to have my own thing. And I was worried that if I was a stay-at-home mom, that I would get anxious. And if I was going to be a stay-at-home mom, I wanted to be fully there and fully happy in that decision as well. So I was just torn between both worlds.
Oh, totally. Yeah. So I get the whole concept of wanting that identity and being the stay-at-home mom, but also And I think sometimes we use the words just, right? Just to
Right,
say,
which I don't want to use because I
yeah,
know that what goes into being a stay-at-home mom.
is so much, right? But then also feeling fulfilled in other areas of our
Right.
life, not just motherhood. Yeah,
Right.
totally get it. Okay, so here you were as your first, second grade teacher, coming into this last school year here. Now, what other things had you tried to do to create income in the past?
Oh, I mean, before I moved here, I was working 3 jobs. I was nannying and I was teaching dance. And then on the weekends, I was acting in a dinner theater. And I was just kind of trying to do everything at once because I couldn't figure out what I wanted to do. Um, I hadn't really, I always just worked I always had a lot of jobs up until I became a teacher. I always had 2 to 3 jobs from the time I was, 18, even when I was in college to up even when I was a teacher, those first 3 years, I went to school and I taught school, and then I went to the dance studio and taught dance. So I was out of the house from 6 a.m. until 9 o'clock at night. So really just working all the time because I have a lot of student loans too. So that's like, that's a huge thing, is that I always feel this like burden of money all the time, which I also did not want going into motherhood.
Absolutely. Totally can feel that for you. So,
Mm-hmm.
when did you hear about me? I mean, I know I kind of heard about you in March, but when did you circle into my world?
Let's see. We moved into this house about 3 years ago, and when I moved in, I saw the garage and it had this nice finished floor. And I had kind of been thinking like maybe when I have kids, I could do the daycare thing and stay at home, but also make money. And I was like, this garage would be perfect if I wanted to turn it into a daycare. And then I kind of joined some like daycare groups, and I saw that they were working like 12 hours a day. And I was like, that's not what I want. I was like, that's like the opposite of what I want, is to work more hours and be super stressed, because daycare owners are so super stressed. And so I don't know if it was a Facebook ad or if I was like Googling at home day. I don't know exactly what it is, but I was like looking online for something and you came up, and it was your free book, and I got it and I read it, and I literally said to my husband that night, I'm like, what would you say if I quit my job and started a preschool? And I already had all the numbers lined out. I'm like, look at what she did in this book. I'm like, she made this amount, and I had like a good case for it. And he was like, well, I think you'd be amazing at that. He's like, you clearly work really hard, and I think you could do. And I was like, okay, well then I'm gonna do it. And I decided, that was like in last July. And I decided that I was going to go through the district one more year, because I'm also one of those like planners, like I want everything to be planned. So I know that it's, and I'm very like anxious person anyway. So I needed the like time. I needed the time, and I needed the, to make sure that I planned it so there wouldn't be any break in money. And it worked out because I went through, it took, I was able to take my time with it while I was still teaching. And it was stressful to kind of do both things, but I was able to, get my preschool room all ready, and I was able to buy stuff little by little. So when I started, I had a whole room that I loved, and I had all my license and everything ready. So I was like fully ready to start. And then in March, that's when, literally the week that COVID hit, I was like, okay, this week I'm going to start advertising, because I'd already put in my notice with the district that in May I would be done. And then we went in, literally, I just put up like hundreds of flyers, like used your format. I put up so many flyers, and then we went into lockdown, and I had to like cancel my open house or whatever I had planned. And I was like really discouraged. And then I saw your online class challenge, and I immediately was like, oh my God, okay, well, this is what we have to do. And I like freaked out and did that and made all this. And my husband was like, what are you doing? You're going to be fine. And I'm like, no, I have to make sure that everything's going to be okay. And I stressed out real hard. And then it worked out. Like the online class just kind of, I started with like 3 kids, and then it just kind of, and I thought that would lead to more in-person kids. And turns out I didn't need the online class for the in-person kids, because all my online kids are still online, and all my in-person kids came in, through other means. And then in July, I opened 2 days a week, one class, were 6 kids in it. Actually, I had 5 kids in it. It wasn't full. And then by August, when I opened 4 days a week, 2 classes a day, I started out almost full in every class. I would say half full in like one class, and then 4 or 5 kids in the other classes. And then now I have one spot to fill.
You went through that so quick. The whole like, yeah, then COVID hit. And so I just like reversed I'm just going to go online and then do the local classes. And look, here I am now. You went through that really, really quick, but that must have been still a really stressful process. So let me ask you this. You were in Preschool All Stars. How did that help you through that period? I mean, the whole you put in your resignation for May. That must have been a scary process. How did Preschool All Stars help you get through that and, start your online and local preschools?
Yeah, it was terrifying. And some of my coworkers at school were like, well, maybe you should wait a year and wait till this all. And I'm like, no, not waiting. But once you put out that 14-day challenge and I got like set up with the online preschool, which I would have never been able to do because I have no idea how to work any of that. And it was so like step by step. And I felt confident in each, because we were all on there, like we were all doing it, for the first time. And we were all like, oh my gosh, what do I do here? And then there was like, 20 answers. And so it was just so helpful to have like all those other ladies going through the same thing. And then once I felt confident teaching online, I was a lot more confident that I was already confident in the teaching thing. The business part was kind of what scared me, but just being able to like go on the page, the All Stars page, and ask any question I want, and have so many ladies who wrote, reply what worked for them. It was so nice. It was such a blessing to have that, because I was able to, any question I needed answered was able to be answered.
That's awesome. So fast forward, now here we are, like 9 months after you started your online preschool, and you've been doing online and local.
Yeah.
Preschool blessed your life?
Well, I mean, we're pregnant with our first kid now, and I'm in the process of looking for a substitute who might actually turn out to just be a full-time teacher. And depending, I'm kind of going back and forth between kind of letting them teach for a while and just managing the business side so I can stay home with the kid until I want to, or maybe just teaching 2 days a week. And right now I only do 4 days a week because my husband was like, if you're going to have your own business, then give yourself 3-day weekends every day. And I'm like, okay. Like, I went from working like 6-7 days a week to now I have a 3-day weekend every week, which is like life-changing. But I think if I go on maternity leave and I get a full-time teacher, or maybe even 2, I'll probably go to 5 days a week. So to make up more money for that. And then just kind of, I'll be here to substitute if they need, or maybe just teach a couple days a week, but then I'll be able to just run the business and be home with my kid, which is like the best of both worlds. That's what I wanted the whole time. That was my huge struggle, is how can I make money? How can I be home with my kid? How can I also have my own thing going on that's outside of being a mom and it's all come together.
That is awesome. And like you've got the ability to now stay home with your kids, plus the income, plus this identity, and the ability to keep growing and growing, right?
We're actually talking about, in like 5-year plan, I would say maybe moving to a new house and turning this into kind of like a schoolhouse, kind of like what it seemed like you guys did, opening up different rooms and stuff. So that possibly might be our 5-year plan. But right now we're just, I'm still like in awe that I'm teaching full classes every day and looking for a teacher now that I get to be a boss, and I get to, hire someone and be the boss that I hoped that I had, so now I get to give back, and I can pay someone well while also making, money for myself, and, give them the freedom to teach the way that I wanted the freedom to teach, so it's really cool. I'm a job maker.
Yeah, you are a job maker, and you're able to create your own schedule, be the boss, like best of all the worlds. Okay, so let's shift for a second now. Talk about your preschool. I know you've got your online and local running. You started your online back in March, about 9 months ago, and then you added your local. And so right now, tell me what your class time schedule is, how many students you have in each class, and what you charge for your classes.
Sure. So I was going to do a Monday, Wednesday, and then a Tuesday, Thursday. But then with our school district, they went into like cohorts of like Monday, Tuesday, and then Wednesday, Thursday. And then they went all online anyway. So, but before they went on all online, I was like, okay, I'll do the Monday, Tuesday class and then the Wednesday, Thursday class. And so next year I'll probably change that up to go every other day again, but that's how it is right now. So I have a morning class from 8:45 to 11:45 on Monday, Tuesday, and then an afternoon class from 12:30 to 3:30 on Monday, Tuesday. And then I have the same thing on Wednesday, Thursday. And so I have that 45-minute like lunch break in the middle that I clean and I eat and I cool down. And then some kids come all 4 days. So for 2 days a week, 2 half days a week, I charge $275 a month. And then for 4 half days a week, I charge $490 a month. So I give a slight discount. And then my online class, I was doing it 2 days before I started teaching full time. I was doing it at 9 o'clock and 12 o'clock, 2 days a week. But then now that I'm teaching during the day, I do it at 4 o'clock Monday through Thursday. So my preschool kids leave at 3:30, and then from 4 to 4:30, I teach my online class. That's awesome. It's a lot. But at the end of the day, I'm exhausted. But I love my online kids so much, so they make me so happy.
Okay, so how many kiddos did you say your tuition for your online class?
Oh, for the online class is $47 a month. And that's what it started as. And I haven't raised it because I don't know.
You will.
Yeah. And then the $275 for the in-person.
Okay, awesome. So how many kiddos do you have in your local classes?
6 kids to each class, because that's what I'm licensed for. And then there's 4, some kids go 4 days a week. So I have 18 students. So I have 24 spots that can be filled. And right now, 23 of them are filled.
That's amazing. What about your online classes?
I have 10 in the online class.
That's awesome. And so with your online class, are you doing pre-recorded and a live class, or you mixed it together, or what are you doing there?
I do live every day unless I have like an appointment, especially with the midwives and stuff. Now I have a lot of appointments on like Wednesday. So I always make the appointments on Wednesdays because my teaching time class is on Monday and Wednesday. So if I have a doctor's appointment, I'll pre-record the teaching time class. Awesome. Which is easy to do, whether I need to be there or not, I can schedule that.
Cool. You're doing a Monday, Wednesday teaching time live class and a Tuesday, Thursday preschool pals live class. Yeah. And you can record as needed. That's awesome. So when you have your cute little baby, will it be during the school year here, or is it going to be in the summertime? Or?
It'll be in April.
Okay. So and your plans right there.
Yeah. So I'm going to get someone definitely to cover for maternity leave for like April to May. And my year ends in May. And I haven't decided. I think I'm going to probably do another summer program, like maybe just for the month of July, maybe June. Yeah. Depending. I mean, if I have a teacher, then I can keep going. So I haven't exactly decided my summer plans yet, but probably definitely do a July thing and then start back up in August with the fall classes.
That's awesome. Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about your preschool now. With your preschool, if I asked your preschool families why they chose your preschool, what do you think that they would tell me?
Well, every time someone walks in for a tour, they're always like, oh my gosh, this space is amazing. So I put a lot of like love and energy into this space. No one even knows it's a garage, which is awesome. So they love the space. They love that I have a teaching license. I really push that in my advertising. And also that I have a degree in dance and used to dance professionally. So I kind of market that as like every class comes with a dance class or a yoga class or a music class or a tumbling class. There's always like a movement, oriented aspect in that. It's also play-based. So I have all my centers set up and I have, signs mostly for the parents of like why that center is educational for each kid. I did a lot of research because I'm not used to teaching preschoolers. I'm used to teaching first and second graders. And that was kind of a big switch for me. And it still is because one of the reasons that I left the school district was because I just felt like the standards that they were teaching first graders were just like not developmentally appropriate. And I felt terrible that I was pushing these kids, especially I worked in very low income neighborhoods and I was pushing these kids to do things that they just weren't ready for, And so I I hated that. And now I kind of like, I have to stop myself from doing that with 3-year-olds, you know, because I'm like, oh, wait, they're just 3. Like, they're just 3. I have to, like, I'm playing with them. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be able to learn through play. And so that's a big thing. They love that it's play-based. And let's see, that I'm licensed. That really helps too, because they like to know that it's legitimate. You know, I tried to make it as legitimate as possible. You know, I wanted it to be like, if I was going to charge what I'm charging, I wanted them to think, you know, this is a high quality thing. This isn't just daycare. And whenever they come for the interview, you know, they talk about, like, if they mention daycare, I really push, like, I really want to get away from the daycare thing, because, you know, this is a preschool class that they're learning. And, you know, like, I really try and push that, because I don't, you know, because like you talk about, the market isn't daycare families. It's not people who need all day care. It's, you know, stay-at-home moms. That's what most of my people are. So it's good to have that. And my licensor, when I got licensed, she's like, there is no in-home preschool, a half-day preschool on that side of town. So, and when I told her that I had the local news team come and do a story, and she saw it, my licensor saw it, and she's like, now that you're full, you need to start a family home and get 12 kids at a time. And I'm like, okay, I'm just waiting. I'm just trying to get this up and running. But it's like, there's a big need for it. And people don't realize that if you're used to, you know, the thought of daycare.
Totally. So you have almost full classes, just one spot left out of 24 classes. What do you think your best marketing tips are?
Ooh, something that really helped me was Facebook mom groups. Like, wow. I went on, and I wasn't even a mom yet, but I went on all the, and I tried not to be pushy, you know, I didn't want to go in spamming people, but because of, you know, everything going on, moms were really, you know, they wanted to get their kids out, but not in big groups. And the whole mask thing was a thing. So I kind of I stalked those groups, and I looked for, I didn't post, you know, my advertisements so much. But I would respond to messages if I saw it, oh, I'm a licensed teacher and I just opened this, if you want to get, you know, just try. And I tried to interact with, you know, with other posts, like you mentioned, you know, all the stuff that you mentioned in your book on how to do that. I tried really hard to do. And then we went out and we handed out, we put tons of flyers up. But I think most of and then I also did Facebook ads, and I did Google ads, but it was really expensive, and I kind of stopped doing that. But mostly Facebook, honestly. And then once I made a video tour, and I posted that on YouTube, and I put that in some of the local groups, and that really helped. And then the news station found that and contacted me to do a news segment. So once the news segment aired, then I got a lot of people wanting both the online class and the in-person class.
That's awesome. So what would be one of your best tips for anyone starting local or online preschool? Like, if they're sitting there right now, what is your best advice to them on how they can get started?
So take a deep breath. It's a lot, but you can do it, step by step. Just go through step by step and ask questions to the group. Read the book. There's so much useful information in it, and there's so much a wealth of knowledge in all these all-stars, because they all have such different backgrounds and experiences, and they all have such great ideas. So definitely ask for help. Take it one day at a time. Have confidence, and it'll take time, even if it doesn't happen right away. And now I'm starting to get the word of mouth. So the advertising isn't even as big a thing. I haven't put out Facebook ads in a while, and I'm getting people, who are, oh, my friend told me that she got, so once that starts, then it gets even easier.
The reason why, of course, we've chosen you as our host for the Preschool All-Stars podcast to share our Preschool All-Stars stories is because you've had such phenomenal success in such short time. Starting in March, in the midst of COVID, being able to start your online preschool, and then also on top of that, a local preschool, and you're still teaching online and local right now. You exemplify what a preschool all-star is, which is not giving up. And say, that's why we've really chosen you, is because you embody every attribute of a preschool all-star. So I'm so thrilled that in the next future episodes, you're going to be able to pull out these stories from these amazing preschool all-stars who've created their own preschools and help share their message across the world. Hey, real quick, I know you're excited to start your preschool, but if my gut is correct, you're probably a little bit scared, right? I mean, will you be able to make this work? Will you be able to create the income your family needs? How is this going to work out? Will it end up like all of the other ventures that you've tried? It's not your fault. You just didn't have the right support in the past, but that's why I'm here, and that's why I'm here to invite you to join our Preschool All-Stars membership. It's an exclusive membership community filled with me and hundreds of our preschool owners, all on the exact same journey as you, starting, running, and growing your preschool. Like-minded women who are there to answer your questions, give you some cheerleading, and support you on your path. Now, guess what? We have a little motto inside of All-Stars, and it's this: I don't get stuck, I get help, because I'm a Preschool All-Star. You'll also get access to our huge library of step-by-step video trainings, systems, and done-for-you files. Literally everything you need to get your preschool on the right track and making a consistent income for your family. It's all available to you because you'll be a Preschool All-Star member. I can't wait for you to join our family. Click the link in the description or go to preschoolallstars.com, and I can't wait for you to join us. Now let's go, come on.